My name's Laura Schell.
And I'm John, and we have 4 kids, Lucas, Caleb, Ella, and Micah. And we are heading to Germany. So both of us felt a call in high school. I myself went to Mexico as an early mission trip that a lot of people go on, and God really pulled on my heart there.
And the same for me. When I was 16, I went on my first mission trip to Chihuahua, Mexico, and that's where I felt a very strong call to missions. I went home and I told my mom I wanted to drop out of high school and be a missionary. At 18, I continued to feel that call, and I felt him calling me to a missionary training school in Czech Republic. And so I went, not knowing anyone, and I met my husband.
Our heart has been in Latin America, and God called us to the valley to minister in Reynosa. We imagined being here for a season, 1 or 2 years maybe, and that God had us going maybe into the interior of Mexico or even to the Dominican Republic. Through this, we've seen our family grow, double in size. We've seen our children grow. And I think God knew that we weren't ready for that jump, that we had more to learn. We had more ways to grow.
But we've been just kind of, I guess, grounded in one church and in one community, and we've been able to use our gifts. So here at BT, we've used our gifts in different ways, maybe ways that we wouldn't have if we had been here, a shorter time.
Starting when our kids were really young, working in the preschool, and then with BT Kids and Awana, then moving over to middle school, working with missions, being able to go out and do community outreach with BT, the Big Give, the block parties.
And then also being a part of the community groups and leading 2 community groups, hosting one of them. That's been a big blessing for us and a way for us to grow in community too.
About 2 years ago, we really were feeling like God was beginning to call us to something bigger. We pursued an opportunity to move to the Baja Peninsula, really feeling like that was an opportunity that we needed to go after. It wasn't the right time, and our children let us know that they weren't prepared and that they did not want to go. And it took that red light and that stopping point for us to realize that if God's going to take us to something new, if He's going to allow us to go to another country, it's going to be the entire family.
So then after we kind of got over that, we got over ourselves, we said, okay, so we're just going to completely surrender. And I said, okay, if this is where you want us, God, I'm okay with living here for the rest of my life, which to me is huge because, like I said, I don't live places for very long. It seems like shortly after we surrendered, and then that's when God was like, okay, we're going to go this way.
When the pandemic hit, I think God said, crazy enough, it's time. When everything else was closing down and locking down, we began to kind of be mobilized. And this whole journey to get to this point really was, I think, motivated by a trip to Germany. Our hearts had been Latin America. We believed that that's where we were going. But now God began to shape us and mold us and even break us to think about Europe and think about Germany. We kind of kicked it into gear in May of 2020. And what normally takes a year took us about 8 weeks to complete.
Yeah, so it was just, God was just making a way, very clearly and very evidently to us, and just kept opening doors up until now with the support raising, where He just continues to, open the doors and just pour in the provisions. So
the first 2 years we're there, we'll be working with a school called Black Forest Academy, which is a boarding school for missionary children. And so I'll be using my gift as a teacher to invest in students.
So we are moving to a country where only 2% of the population in the whole country claims to have a relationship with Jesus. So we're very aware that, we may be the only ones in that town, or we may be the only one in that grocery store who knows Jesus. And so we do hope to, aside from the full-time working with the school, we do hope to spread the gospel and just shine His light wherever we go.
First off, we need prayer. We need this community of faith to come together and just lift us up in prayer. Mm-hmm. For our marriage, for our children, for our parenting, for the choices we need to make here really soon, and for for our ministry, for what God's going to do through us. I think the second thing that seems like a huge feat is we're missionaries. We're going as self-funded missionaries. And so we have to raise up 100% of our own funds in order to go and do what God has called us to do. And so we're needing people to come alongside us, to become partners in what God has sent us to do.
Yeah, and then lastly, I mean, we're really hoping that, the church will keep in touch with us. Not only as a church, but members of the church. We hope that people will reach out to us, send us a letter, send us an email, a text, an encouraging word. Remember us in your prayers, but remember us also practically. Send the kids a note or something like that would be just wonderful to know that we're being thought of and that we're, a part of your prayers.
And know that there's open doors. If you're going to be in Europe, if you're going to be in Germany, come see us.
Yeah.
Check in on us.
Maybe the
Let us
church
show
could
you.
even send a mission team one time. That would be amazing. We would love to host you all. Y'all? I can't say y'all, sorry.
Yeah, I feel that we all have gifts that God's given us, and some are to go. They're called to go. They're called to move to another country and minister. Others are called to preach, to be there on Sunday mornings for people to hear the word, to help them grow in their faith. Others are called to be supportive, to be here and be part of the community of faith. But we all have that one thing, and to tell people about Jesus. Use the gifts God's given you. Use the avenue that God has given you, and step out in faith and see what God does.
Yeah, and if you're watching this and you feel like, I think maybe God's calling me to missions or to ministry, I would just encourage you to do it. I mean, I know it sounds crazy. We're moving a family of 6 across the ocean, but God is in it. And if you follow him, I mean, it's the best adventure. I wouldn't want it any other way.